Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn to crochet half square triangle granny squares. Super easy and fun tutorial, so let's go ahead and get started. Now for this tutorial I'm going to be using some Lion Brand yarn New Basic 175. This is a brand new acrylic wool blend yarn that's only available on lionbrand.com right now, but it is a wonderful squishy yarn. I am going to be using all of these colors you see here for my squares. This is peony, thyme, mango, cream, and then this is slate. It looks a little blue here, but it's actually a dark gray. And additionally, I'm going to be using an H 5mm hook for these squares. And this is my Clover Amour hook. I love these hooks. So set all of these aside. We're going to start with our cream. So for all of these squares, they're going to be half cream and half one other color. And you'll see later on when I put all of these squares together in a project how many I have of these different colors. But for now, we're just going to learn the technique, learn how to make this square. So all of my squares are going to be half cream and half another color. And I'm always going to start with the cream. When you're making these squares for a project like a blanket or a pillow, you want to start with the same color every time. So if all of your squares are going to be half cream, always start with the cream. So here we're going to start with a magic ring. So wrap the yarn around twice, insert your hook, pull the loop on the left under the loop on the right, slip your fingers out, and chain. So we're going to chain up 2 and 3, and then working into the magic ring itself, we're going to work some double crochet. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. That's our double crochet. So we're going to work 2 double crochets into the magic ring. If you need help with magic ring or double crochet, go ahead and look at my crochet beginner series over on my main channel page. Now that we have 2 double crochet, we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to work 3 double crochet into the magic ring. What we're doing here is creating the basis of our square, but we're going to start working with our 2 tones, our 2 colors, very soon. So there is our 3rd double crochet, and now we're ready to chain 2 again, because if we start looking at this, we have about half of our square here worked up. You can kind of see the L shape that's starting to happen. Now we're ready for our next corner, which is a chain 2. But instead of chaining 2, we're just going to chain 1, because here is where we're going to change color, because we need to change color before we complete the other half of our square. So you're going to grab your contrasting color. So for me, I'm using mango. Any contrasting color will work. Go ahead and take the end of the yarn. And what we're going to do is we're going to complete our chain 2. So we're going to just yarn over, get that yarn on your hook, and we're just going to pull it through. So there is our second chain of our chain 2 for the corner. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to drop that cream yarn, we're going to pick up the mango working yarn, and we're going to work some double crochet into the magic ring. Now make sure that these tails are out of the way. You don't want to work over the tails here, and work 3 double crochet into the magic ring with your mango yarn. Now we've dropped the cream. We can kind of tighten up these tails so that nothing is too loose and going to come undone. As we keep crocheting those tails, just leave them out of the way. And this join will become much more secure as we continue crocheting our round. So don't be worried about it coming undone. So there is our 3rd double crochet in the mango. We're ready for our next corner. So we need to chain 2, make sure these tails are out of the way. That cream yarn is just going to be left there on the other side. So you've just dropped it and just leave it behind for now. So we've worked our 3 double crochet in mango. We need to chain 2. And we're going to work 3 more double crochet into the ring. Now this is round 1. We're almost done with round 1, and we've already worked with both colors. You need to make sure that you've incorporated both colors here at this point, because moving on, you're not going to be able to add another color without it being really confusing looking. So we have 3 double crochet. We're going to chain 2 once again, and then to finish this up, we're just going to slip stitch into the top of our chain 3. But before we do that, go ahead and take that tail from the magic ring, gently pull and tighten it up. You don't want to yank on it. This yarn is a bit delicate. So on the top of that chain 3, go ahead and slip stitch with your mango yarn still. And now we have round 1 finished. So when you tighten up that magic ring, you can tell how this is looking. So if you want to set it down and kind of see the half square triangle shape, go ahead and do that. So you can see that we have that nice clean diagonal line, and we have 2 halves of the square. So we can see here if we look at the finished square, and excuse my ends that I haven't woven yet here on my sample, we can see here that round 1 is looking just like the center round of our finished square. So really now we just need to continue with this for a total of 4 rounds. But instead of working in a spiral as we do with a normal granny square, we're going to work around one way and then back around the other and back around the other. So basically instead of working in a spiral, we're going to work around and then turn and come around and turn and come around. So I know that that seems a bit confusing now, but I just wanted to kind of go over the construction of the square before we get into it. So now that we are ready for round 2, we're going to turn our work. We did not chain up any, we did not move, we just slip stitched, and now we're turning. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into that chain space, and what that's going to do is kind of pull things to be a perfectly straight diagonal line. So you want to make sure to work that slip stitch into the chain space. Now we're going to chain up 3. Now that chain up 3 is counting as a double crochet, so we're going to work 1 more double crochet into the chain space. Now every chain space from here on out is going to get 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. Now at this point we have a chain 3 and a double crochet, which is working as our 2 double crochets within this chain space. So when we come back around, we'll complete that corner cluster. But for now, go ahead and double crochet in each stitch across. So in each of those next 3 stitches, work 1 double crochet. So you should have 3. And there is our third, and now we are come to the next chain space. We can see here that this is looking nice and square so far. So in this chain space, like I said, we're going to work 2 double crochet, a chain 2, and then 2 double crochet, and that's going to create our nice, clean, crisp corner. So there is 1 double crochet just right into the chain space itself, not into the stitches. There's 2 double crochet. Now we need to chain 2 to create that nice corner space that you see in the finished square there. And go ahead and work 2 more double crochet into the corner. It may seem a bit tight and it may seem like you can't fit that many stitches in here, but I swear that you can, and it's going to create a nice clean look. Don't skip any stitches for fear of having too many. So we can see here that this is creating a nice corner. Our chain spaces are lining up here from the center out. You should have chain spaces lining up as we go, and everything should be nice and linear. So that's what we have here. We're going to work a double crochet in each of the next few stitches, still working with that mango yarn before we change back to cream. So in each of the next 3 stitches, work 1 double crochet until we get to the next chain space. So there's 2. Make sure to work in this third one right next to our color change. Make sure not to skip it. So there is 3. And then now we have come to the corner space. Now here, remember, we're doing 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet, but here is where we're going to change color. The way in which we're going to do that is we're going to work the first half of the corner cluster in mango and the second half in cream. So identify the chain space, make sure that your tails are in the right spot, make sure that the mango tail is off to the mango side and the cream tail is off to the cream side, and we want to change our color halfway through this corner cluster because that is what's going to give us that nice, clean, crisp diagonal line through our granny square. So make sure your tails are to the proper sides and your cream yarn is off to the left. And now working into the chain space, go ahead and work your 2 double crochets with mango. Still working with that same strand of mango yarn. There's 1 and 2. And then similarly on round 1, we are going to work the first chain in mango and the second chain in cream. So all we're going to do is chain 1 with that mango. We're going to drop the mango yarn and we're going to pick up that working cream yarn. So the yarn that's attached to our ball of yarn, go ahead and yarn over and just pull that up. Make sure it's nice and taut and just pull through to chain. So now we have chain 2, 1 chain in mango, 1 chain in cream, and we have that strand of cream. Now that's going to blend right on in as we work our 2 double crochets still into that chain space with cream. So we've dropped that mango yarn and it's just going to hang out right there on the corner, and we will bring it back up in the next round. So go ahead and tighten that mango yarn to make sure everything's nice and snug, And we can see here that that diagonal line, that color change is looking great. So we've worked our 2 double crochet in cream, and now we're just going to continue with cream and work a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. For the rest of this round, we will be working with cream. So there's 2 and 3, and then we've come to our last chain space, our next to last chain space, and we're going to do our normal 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. So there's 2, we need to chain 2, 1 and 2, and then 2 more double crochet, 1 and 2, and then we should have 3 more stitches, a double crochet in each one. This is our last side to work. And right here it may get a little bit jumbled. You may have a little trouble identifying the stitches, but that's totally fine. Just make sure that you work 3 double crochet, 1 into the top of each stitch. This last one is going to have the mango yarn joined to it, but just work into it as best you can and try to find the top of that stitch. It's just a little hidden. So now we've come to the last corner where we're going to join. And remember, we had this chain 3 and the double crochet that works as the final side of the corner cluster, but we still need to work the first 2 double crochet in the chain 2. So go ahead and work 2 double crochet into that chain space. So there is 1 and 2. This should be working over the mango yarn, working to hide it a bit, and then we need to chain 2. So we're going to chain 1 and 2, and we're just going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain from that chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and go ahead and slip stitch into the top of that chain. Pull that tight, and now we have finished round 2. And now from this point on, we're just going to repeat round 2 as many times as desired. Here I have a total of 4 rounds, so I'm going to work round 2 twice more. So I'm going to work through round 3 here just so that we remember what we're doing. Go ahead and turn your work, don't chain up, and just slip stitch. So we've slip stitched into the chain space, and now we're going to work back the other way in the cream. And this mango is still hanging out here on the other side. We'll pick that up when we get there. Go ahead and chain up 3. And then we're going to work 1 double crochet into the chain space itself. Remember, we're working just half of that chain space cluster. And go ahead and double crochet in each stitch all the way across. So here we should have many more stitches than we did in round 2, and then additionally in round 4 you'll have many more stitches, as you can see there in the sample. We have many more double crochets to work. You can repeat round 2 as many times as you like and make a square that's the size of a blanket, or you can do just round 1 and 2 and make tons of little squares. This pattern is really easy to create any size square you like. I chose to do 4 rounds because that's a nice even about 5-inch square, and that's what I prefer, but you can definitely expand or contract this as you wish. So we've come to the first chain space. We're going to work 2 double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 double crochet. Same thing as round 2. We're following the same protocol. I just wanted to show you round 3 so that you can see how I repeat round 2 with a larger round, and you can kind of get an idea of how to continue with this for as many rounds as you'd like. So we have our corner, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and then we're just going to double crochet along the next side before we get to that color change. And we're going to do the color change the same way in every round. So it's going to be the same protocol, the same exact spot where you change your color. You're going to drop your color the same way. It's always going to be exactly the same. So just double crochet along. I wanted to make sure not to speed any of this up, because I know that with a new pattern, especially a pattern that's a bit more complex like this, I didn't want anyone to not have enough time or get confused, but please feel free to pause and rewind as you need to. So here I've worked all the way across that next side, and I'm ready for my color change corner. So I'm still working with that cream yarn. I'm going to work 2 double crochet into the chain space. Make sure that that mango yarn is still off to the left. We're not working with it yet. So there's 2 double crochet in the chain space. We're going to chain up 1 with the cream. We're going to drop it, and we're going to pick up the mango yarn. Make sure you're picking up the working yarn, not the tail. So pick up that working yarn, yarn over to chain 1, and make sure that cream yarn is out of the way. You don't want to work over that tail, so make sure the cream yarn is off to the right somehow. And then we're going to work 2 more double crochet in the mango yarn into the chain space. So that finishes up our corner cluster. We have 2 double crochet and a chain 1 in the cream. We've switched color to mango, chain 1 more, and then 2 more double crochet, and we're just going to finish off this round with the mango all the way back around the other side. The color change is really the only point where you have to really pay attention to what you're doing and making sure everything is positioned the way that you need it to be. The rest of this round, once you've done it once or twice, gets really simple and kind of mindless. This is a great project to work up while you're watching TV or having a nice conversation, or maybe in a waiting room at a doctor's office. It's a great project to take with you. Each square takes me about 15-20 minutes once I get the hang of it and I get going with them. So they work up rather fast for being as complex as they are. So I've double crocheted across, and then in the chain space I'm still going to work my 2 double crochet, my chain 2, and my 2 double crochet. Always the same, no matter how big you make this square. Even if you continued this for 200 rounds and you made an afghan the size of your lawn, it's still going to be exactly the same process every single time. So just continue double crocheting across the last side. And if this is completely confusing you at this point and you don't understand the turning, you don't understand the color changes, go back to the very beginning of this video and watch it again. And I also urge you to try it out before you give up on it. When I first learned this technique, it was very confusing to me, and then I tried it and I understood what everyone was talking about. So I've worked in every stitch. Here's the last one. Remember, you have to kind of find that stitch under the cream yarn, because it's going to try and cover that stitch. And then we've come to the last chain space. Remember, we have that chain 3 and the double crochet that's that side, and we still need the first 2 double crochets in the chain 2. So here we were going to work 2 double crochets in the mango. So there's 1 and 2. And we still need our chain 2. Let's go ahead and work chain 2. And in the third chain, go ahead and slip stitch. So now round 3 is finished. We're ready to go with round 4, and you're just going to repeat the same exact thing. So if you'd like to continue with round 4 and maybe rewind this video a bit back up to round 3 so that you can follow along with me and you're just working more double crochets along those sides, it's the exact same thing. So we can see here how this is looking compared to my sample with 4 rounds. It's looking exactly the same. It's just kind of a mini version. My sample here just has 4 rounds and this little one has 3. So you can see here the difference in how it's already looking just like my sample. It just needs 1 more round. Now with these half square triangles, this is actually inspired by a granny quilting motif. So in quilting you have what are called half square triangles, which are these blocks that are 2-tone color with a diagonal difference between the color. And you can arrange these to make all different kinds of shapes. You can put light colors together and make diamonds. You can put them in contrasting diamonds. You can move them in all kinds of different ways. I'm going to be assembling them along with all those other colors of New Basic 175 that you saw in the beginning of this video. We can create diagonals with them, just all kinds of fun things, and these shapes will really come together more once those ends are woven and things are actually sewn together. Once I work up all of my squares over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing a video on how to block your squares, how to assemble your squares and sew them together, and then how to finish the project that I'm going to be using these for. But I go ahead and urge you to practice these squares, maybe make something small, practice kind of fiddling around with them and learn the technique so that when we're ready to move on with our big project that I'll be showing you very soon, you'll be ready to go and understand how to make these squares. So I also have my other colors, my peony, my thyme, and my slate, and I'm going to be working lots of squares up with all of these colors along with the cream. So these squares are really, really easy and fun. It's a fun technique to learn, and the possibilities are really endless. Now when you go to finish off round 4, you're going to finish everything off, you're going to work your last slip stitch, and then you're just going to finish off your yarn and go ahead and weave in those ends. Make sure the magic ring is nice and tight here at the center, and your square is done and ready to be blocked and then assembled, and I'll be covering that in subsequent videos. I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial on the two-tone half square triangle crochet granny square. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe below.